Hey there, curious minds. I've got a new analysis for you, this time diving deep into geopolitics. Today, we're going to unravel a seemingly trivial phenomenon that in reality holds the keys to the fifth-generation warfare we're currently experiencing. I'm talking about this insidious dynamic where people, often with limited resources and genuine vulnerability, hand over their money, time, and trust to a host of figures. From influencers and streamers to New Age gurus, coaches who trivialize quantum mechanics, or promoters of conspiracy theories. We're going to analyze this not from a moral high ground, but from a geopolitical perspective. How is it possible that the less fortunate end up enriching those who offer no tangible value to society? It's an inverse transfer of wealth and, even more importantly, a transfer of power. This is no accident. It's by design. A mechanism of social control and cultural destruction that benefits major tech corporations and the powers that control them. Stick with me to understand the inner workings of this digital neocolonialism, where the raw material is no longer gold or oil, but your attention, your emotions, and ultimately, your money. First point, the heart of the matter, the illusion of connection and certainty. The globalist neoliberal model, with its dogma of extreme individualism, has methodically dismantled the community structures that provided cohesion and a sense of belonging. The neighborhood, community groups, even the extended family. It has created a social desert and an existential void. In that wasteland of solitude and uncertainty, the media figure, be it a streamer, a coach, or a conspiracy theorist, presents themselves as a friend, a guide, someone who gets it and has the answers. A parasocial figure that simulates a real connection or access to exclusive knowledge. This simulated connection becomes a psychological necessity. Donating, buying a course, subscribing, it's nothing more than a desperate attempt to be recognized by that figure, to receive a crumb of attention, or to feel like part of an exclusive group. It's the commodification of loneliness and the need for certainty. Platforms know this and exploit it. The business model is the emotional and cognitive vulnerability of the masses. Second key point, this is a form of digital gambling addiction. Donations are designed with variable reward mechanics, identical to those of a slot machine. Small donations, on-screen alerts, sounds, the streamer's recognition, it's all a stimulus response cycle that creates addiction. A generation of addicts to digital validation is being created, willing to spend what they don't have for a dopamine hit. This leads us to the concept of surveillance capitalism, coined by Shoshana Zuboff. Your data, your behavior patterns, your loneliness, everything is extracted, analyzed, and used against you. Algorithms don't show you what you want to see. They show you what they need you to see to keep you hooked and prone to spending. You are not the customer. You are the product. And in this case, a product that pays for its own exploitation. The figure of the successful guru, be it a lifestyle influencer, a spiritual coach, or a leader of a conspiracy community, is in itself a propaganda tool for the system. This reinforces neoliberal ideology. If he could get rich playing video games, why can't you? The problem is yours, not the system's. A blatant fallacy. They divert attention from structural problems, the lack of decent jobs, rampant inequality, the precarization of life. They offer you an escape, digital bread and circuses, while the real system continues stripping you of your rights and your future. This banal entertainment industry is a massive engine of mass depoliticization. An entertained citizen is not a citizen who questions power. It's a perfect control tool, voluntary, addictive, and it generates enormous profits for Anglo-Saxon, or as we'll see, Chinese platforms. It's a cultural war. Extreme individualism, hedonism, and superficiality are promoted. The values of community, effort, and social contribution are eroded. A society that glorifies those who get rich doing nothing is a society in decline. And that decline is induced, it's programmed. A culture of distraction is fostered where critical thinking is penalized by the algorithm, which prefers fast, easy, and emotional content. The goal is to create a homo videns, a human being who watches but doesn't think, consumes but doesn't create, obeys but doesn't question. Now let's get to the hard facts so no one can say this is mere opinion. Let's talk about the TikTok controversy. First hard fact, the US case against TikTok. The law signed in 2024, the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, forces the Chinese company ByteDance to sell TikTok or face a nationwide ban. The official narrative is national security. And it's correct, but we must understand it in its geopolitical dimension. Washington isn't worried about your privacy, which is already exploited by its own companies like Google or Meta. It's concerned that a rival power, China, controls the algorithm. Whoever controls the algorithm controls the narrative. It controls what millions of young people see, think, and feel. It's a weapon of sharp power, a form of pointed influence. TikTok's ability to influence trends, political opinions, and even the mental health of the population is a direct threat to US sovereignty. It's a battle for control of the 21st century's cognitive infrastructure. The United States understands it lost ground in this war and is seeking to reclaim it through legal means, Second hard fact, India's ban. Long before the US in 2020, India banned TikTok and 58 other Chinese applications. The official reason was, again, national security, citing that the apps were detrimental to India's sovereignty and integrity. This move did not happen in a vacuum. It occurred right after deadly military clashes between India and China on the Himalayan border. India understood clearly that war is no longer confined to the physical battlefield. Today's warfare is hybrid, and cyberspace is a central domain. They blocked TikTok to cut off a conduit for mass data espionage and, more importantly, a tool for propaganda and psychological destabilization in the hands of their geopolitical adversary. India took a bold step in defending its digital sovereignty, an example that the West has taken years even to consider. These two cases demonstrate without a doubt that banal content platforms are not harmless. They are strategic assets in the struggle for global hegemony. And while states fight for control of these weapons, the common citizen is cannon fodder, the resource to be exploited. Third hard fact, the psychological impact. Multiple studies, such as those published in psychiatry and public health journals, I've left some in the description, correlate excessive use of these platforms with an increase in anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, especially in young people. Constant social comparison, the fear of missing out, FOMO, and the incessant search for validation through likes and donations create a mentally toxic environment. Thus, not only is money extracted from the less fortunate, but also their psychological well-being. They are sold a palliative that actually aggravates the illness of loneliness and alienation. It's a perfect scheme. They create the problem, isolation, and then sell the false solution, parasocial connection, charging an economic and mental toll. The magnitude of the problem is such that it has become a silent public health crisis, but with devastating consequences for future social cohesion. Now, as always, the commentators will inevitably appear who, without delving deep, will launch predictable attacks. Let's get ahead of them. Clarification 1, for those who will say, "You're just jealous? You wish you made that money?" My response, this is an ad hominem fallacy, a childish attempt to discredit the argument by attacking the person. Here we are not analyzing individuals, but systems of power. Our focus is structural. This isn't about some Johnny or Pete the streamer. It's about the architecture of exploitation designed by tech corporations and its geopolitical impact. Confusing a systemic analysis with personal envy is a category error. It's failing to understand the difference between the anecdote and the phenomenon, between the tree and the forest. The day they understand that the debate is about national sovereignty and the mental health of the population, and not about an individual's success, that day we can have a dialogue. Meanwhile, that argument only reveals an inability to think abstractly and a naive defense of the system that manipulates them. Clarification 2, the classic insult lefty. Call me bitter. Let me clarify, 20th century left and right categories are completely obsolete for analyzing the multipolar world of the 21st century. Today, the real divide is between globalists and sovereignists, between those who defend the interests of stateless corporations and those of us who defend the interests of the nation state. Is protecting your population from foreign psychological manipulation leftist? Then the strategists at the Pentagon and in the Indian government are leftists. How absurd. This analysis does not stem from an ideology, but from geopolitics and the defense of national interest. It's not about Marx, it's about sovereignty. Using those epithets is a smokescreen to avoid facing reality, that the model they defend is one of submission and resource extraction, both material and cognitive. Open your eyes. Today's war is more subtle, and while you squabble with outdated labels, great powers are redesigning your mind. Clarification 3, the quintessential liberal talking point, everyone is free to spend their money as they wish. This is the most dangerous fallacy because it cloaks itself in an aura of individual freedom. But what freedom are we talking about? We're talking about a freedom conditioned, induced, and manipulated by artificial intelligence algorithms designed by armies of psychologists and neuroscientists. It's the same freedom a gambling addict has in front of a slot machine or an addict facing their drug, a freedom hijacked by a system of chemical rewards in the brain. True freedom requires complete information, awareness, and an absence of coercion. None of that exists on these platforms. Free will does not operate in a vacuum. It is being systematically hacked by technologies that know your weaknesses better than you do yourself. To argue for freedom here is to defend the corporation's freedom to exploit, not the individual's freedom to choose. Clarification 4, the naive defense of, they don't harm anyone, it's just entertainment. The harm is not individual and immediate, it is collective and long-term. It's systemic harm. It's like saying junk food doesn't cause harm because a single burger won't kill you. The harm is the erosion of the social fabric, the promotion of a culture of banality, the depoliticization of youth, the normalization of data exploitation. The harm is the rise in mental illnesses, the creation of a parasitic economy that produces nothing of real value. The harm is the loss of cognitive sovereignty. It's allowing foreign powers or corporations to mold the minds of our future generation. To deny this harm is to show profound short-sightedness. It's failing to understand that 21st century wars are won and lost on the battlefield of the human mind. There is nothing harmless about a mass-scale social engineering weapon. Absolutely nothing. In summary, the phenomenon of the less fortunate donating to rich streamers is neither an act of charity nor free will. It is the result of a global-scale social engineering operation where loneliness is commodified and psychological vulnerability is the business model. It is a manifestation of hybrid warfare and digital neocolonialism, where resources, money, data, attention are extracted from the periphery to enrich the center. It is a massive operation of depoliticization and social control that keeps the masses sedated with a digital opiate while their future is dismantled. The hard facts about the actions of powers like the United States and India against TikTok confirm it. This is a matter of high geopolitics and national security. It's not jealousy, it's not communism. It's a raw analysis of the reality of power in the digital age. The question you must ask yourselves is, who benefits from you spending hours watching trivialities and giving away your money? The answer isn't the streamer. He's just a well-paid pawn. The true winners are the mega-tech corporations and the intelligence agencies behind them, mapping and molding global society at their will. It is imperative to wake up, to develop digital hygiene, to question the algorithms that govern our lives. We must demand digital sovereignty for our nations. Our citizens' data must be a national strategic resource, not a commodity for foreign corporations. We must rebuild community ties in the real world so no one has to pay for a false friendship through a screen. The battle for the future is the battle for attention and critical thinking. Let's not lose it by default, distracted by the digital circus. Thank you for your attention. This has been a dense but necessary analysis. We cannot allow the complexity of modern warfare to make us indifferent. We've laid out the cards being played by great powers on the digital chessboard. Now it's your turn to think. I invite you to leave your comments below, to debate with a broad perspective. Don't resort to cheap insults. Argue? Question. The only way to combat manipulation is by exercising our own critical thinking. Don't let anyone think for you. See you in the next analysis. Long live free thought and sovereign nations.